Given the content of this one, I don't think a goofy intro is appropriate. But look at this cool mic I got. Hey nerd, welcome to another installment of Little Lore from Where the Streetlights End, a show where I tell you a little bit about whatever monster I think is cool this week. That monster can either be from folklore, from film, or even from history. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a type of demon from the Middle East who personifies one of the deepest and most universal fears among humanity. A real nasty bitch, if you will. But before I get into it, I gotta ask that you hit the like button down below, comment if you want to tell me how much you hate my stupid face, and subscribe if you like this sort of thing and want more of it. You may notice that I have a different backdrop than usual and a different microphone. If you follow me elsewhere or join my Patreon, you will understand why. Big changes coming, whatever. Anyway, the stories that we tell, whether fantastical or based on historical fact, serve a very important purpose within our cultures. Each story that is shared from one person to another enough to become a part of a larger belief system or to become what we call folklore reaches that level of presence within our social consciousness for a reason. The stories that we choose to tell are chosen because they deal with something that we deem important. That importance can be social, it can be personal, it could deal with mysteries that we have yet to make sense of in any other way. It's the case with many of the stories that I tell that they deal with our fears. We seek explanations, reasons, or even excuses for the things that we fear deep within our bones. Deep bone. Those terrifying things that simply happen to us, and those over which we have no real control. My favorite stories deal with death, with nightmares, with grief. The demonic force that I wish to talk to you about today is one of many that exists to explain or make sense of a phenomenon that is at the center of one of our most sacred and universal fears: motherhood and childbirth. More specifically, those tragedies that can often come along with it. This is your content warning that I will be talking a bit about the upsetting misfortunes that can befall fresh mothers and their newborns. Going by many names, or perhaps there are multiple versions of the same kind of terrible creature, there is a demonic entity who has struck fear in the hearts of people, especially new mothers, for centuries. Al-Karisi, the Scarlet Woman, is sometimes called As-Subyan or Al-Karina. I apologize for any mispronunciations, but we will call her Al-Karisi to avoid any confusion. Al-Karisi is a demonic being with origins within the Islamic faith and mythology in and around the Middle East and Central Asia. She has been referred to as a type of jinn, or as a being which associates with the jinn. The jinn are one of my favorite things, but they would require their own meaningful description to do them justice. But for our purposes, suffice to say that they are terrifying, powerful creatures from Islam and pre-Islamic belief systems, and that they are comparable to demons from Christianity. Many sources state that Al-Karisi falls into a particular class of demon that is recognized in the region, which are often associated with childbirth, fertility, and pregnancy. These are called Al-demons, but I have found that Al at the beginning of an entity's name tends to indicate that they are associated with some form of pain, tragedy, or serious misfortune, and it is not always regarding motherhood and infancy. The Al-demons that do deal with these aspects of life share certain traits that set them apart from other classes of demon, and sort of puts them in the same wheelhouse together. Some of these more notable traits are a taste for internal organs, and while they can be male, female, or even genderless, they almost always appear in the form of an old woman. Al-Karisi is one of these, and perhaps one of the most well-known of them all. Within the societies and cultures which recognize Al-Karisi, there are deeply ingrained customs which have developed for the sole purpose of protecting against her. Al-Karisi, like many others within her class, is a shapeshifter. This means that she appears to people in many different ways. The shape that she chooses when she shows herself to you is dependent on her influence and her interactions, and used to manipulate situations to her will. This could mean that she appears in the form most comfortable to her that day, or she could show herself as an animal or person that she believes will most disarm you or most frighten you. It is said that she will sometimes choose to appear in the form of a large dog, cat, or bird. Most often, she prefers to show herself as a huge elderly woman dressed in red. That is why she is called the Scarlet Woman. The old woman version of Al-Karisi has been described as deeply unsettling, as her features are distorted and ugly. Perhaps because she struggles to effectively mimic realistic human features, being so far removed from humanity herself. The woman is usually so large that it is overwhelming, and her presence is massive and crushing upon the one who meets her. On occasions where she may wish to really manipulate her victims, she may appear as someone that they personally know. Al-Karisi's preferred prey is women who have recently given birth. Many Al-demons have a nasty habit of kidnapping, harming, or even taking the lives of infants, but Al-Karisi is mostly interested in the mothers. This means that while there are many evil bastards that could potentially harm your child, with Al-Karisi, they're probably safe. It's you who need to be protected. Her typical method of attack is to watch and wait for the mother to fall asleep before entering the room. While her victim is resting, Al-Karisi will cut out the woman's liver. It is believed that many women wake up when she comes to harvest their bits, but whether they awaken fully or not, they are unable to defend themselves. Sometimes they can be entirely conscious and aware of everything that is happening to them, but will be unable to call out for help or try to escape, totally paralyzed while the demon tears into them and takes their organs out of their body, which is horrifying. Have you ever woken up on the dentist chair, like when they're doing oral surgery on you? Have you ever woken up from the laughing gas or the knockout gas and you're like super disoriented and can't move and you have no idea what's going on? Reminds me of that. I screamed. I screamed a lot. When Al-Karisi has taken what she wants from her prey, she leaves no trace or evidence of what she has done. There is no bloody mess, no injuries on the body of the poor woman, no cuts, gashes, or even bruises can be found. When she has taken a victim, it appears to anyone who looks that the new mother had simply suffered a sudden and mysterious death in her sleep. While Al-Karisi is truly a terrifying entity, and she poses a very real threat to all new mothers, it is possible that she is not necessarily evil. She is almost synonymous with fear and death among women with very young children. But according to the available lore, she doesn't kill for fun. She also doesn't hunt her prey to feed herself, having no real dietary need for human organs herself, you know? She seems to take the organs so that she can use them to feed her own children. Her story, in this regard, represents something a great deal deeper than just the fear of being killed by a monster. It highlights the very concept of the circle of life, really. A life for a life. Can it really be considered evil if it is only done for the sake of preserving a different life? Who really gets to decide which child gets to live? Can you really be mad at her for just taking care of her own kids? You know? It makes it weird and complicated. No black and white here, I suppose. The belief that Al-Karisi and other entities like her has given birth, the belief in Al-Karisi, my bad, and other entities like her has given birth to many long-lasting traditions and practices in Turkey and in other areas where she is known. To this day, many women will make a point to sleep with a blade for quite some time after giving birth. For the purposes of fending off Al-Karisi, the blade can be almost anything with a sharp edge, really. It could be a cool dagger, could be a kitchen knife, or even a pair of scissors. Truly, when it comes to folk traditions, it is the thought that counts. It is believed that the Scarlet Woman cannot touch your liver or your other internal organs if you have a blade on your person. You don't even got a sticker with it. She just won't fuck with you at all if you've got it at the ready. There are other types of protective amulets and wards that people will use to keep her at bay, but the most common and the most well-known is the blade. Demons and monsters associated with childbirth and pregnancy are known almost universally, existing to some degree within almost every culture around the world. And so, Al Karisi and the others within her class aren't necessarily unique. There are stories of fae that kidnap infants and small children, some who replace them with other fae. There are other monsters that feed on infants exclusively. My face. And even some who can use miscarriage as a way of taking life, or they can cause stillbirth. Humans have probably been searching tirelessly for a satisfying reason for the tragedies that are often experienced during pregnancy and childbirth. Human beings, and really all animals, if you think about it, can experience some of the greatest traumas imaginable during these vulnerable periods in our lives. When mothers and the children are defenseless, when the universe is still sort of deciding whether or not things are going to be okay after a new child is brought into this world, you know? I won't go into it any further because it's truly a sensitive topic. But for those who have experienced a trauma like this, maybe there is some comfort in knowing that humans have been praying for a satisfying reason for these misfortunes, and you're not alone. Before medical sciences figured out the causes of certain illnesses, genetic disorders, and the real tangible reasons why death sometimes occurs among newborns and new mothers, it really seemed like some supernatural force was taking these people's lives. Perhaps it is even more comforting to believe that what has happened was the result of someone else's conscious decision, or a targeted attack from an entity, rather than just terrible luck or fate itself. One thing that I find neat, and not anywhere near as heavy as all that, is that Al Karisi's power of paralysis and hypnosis, coupled with her preference for going after victims while they're asleep, suggests that she may have been an early explanation for sleep paralysis, but maybe specifically sleep paralysis in new mothers. Perhaps there's something about having recently given birth that makes your stages of sleep kind of wonky. I would be interested to know if anyone has any science on this, how sleep goes for the first few months after giving birth, because it's possible that if your sleep cycles or your sleep stages are wonky, then you might be more prone to having sleep paralysis. And if sleep paralysis tends to happen more often or in a particularly interesting way among new mothers, that could explain why there's a whole demon designed around that concept, right? I'm just interested. Let me know if you know. Otherwise, I'll look it up sometime when I should be sleeping instead. You know I love me some sleep paralysis demons. Anyway, that's Al Karisi for you. Thank you for sticking around and listening to me ramble on about something that's actually pretty upsetting. I appreciate you. I hope that I didn't do it in an upsetting way. Hit the like button down below if you want to help me out a whole lot, subscribe to the channel for more of this and some other stuff that I've got going on, and comment down below to join the conversation and make me feel like the things that I study are actually worth talking about. If you want more content including personal updates, conversations, polls, and sometimes even giveaways, and attention from me, join my Patreon. It's called Back Alley Alchemist because that's what I used to be called, and it won't let me change the URL, but you can find it by searching where the streetlights end. Also, I'll link it below. And then there's an ending card that it has it on it if you want to just watch for the next 15 seconds. I love you.